Rocket Lab released their new rocket that can take, I believe it's 8,000 kilograms. I'm going to double check that real quick. Yes, 8,000 kilograms into orbit. It's going to compete with the Falcon 9. And I really love the design choice. You know, there is a beauty. I think if you follow Lex Friedman at all, he talks about like kind of this beauty in science and simplicity. I think he's been talking a lot with people about string theory and extreme ideas like that. And designing rockets, like what SpaceX has done, I can tell you as someone who's being taught by the experts in the field, or at least the professors of of these institutions that are just, they're private institutions, and they literally only train people. Like this whole school that I went to was entirely engineers. There wasn't any other program that wasn't engineering, in some sense. Basically, an entire STEM school. And when you see back then, it was not part of reality that reusable rockets could happen. There was no belief in it, and I was watching SpaceX succeed in this area. And what's really cool is the competition that Rocket Lab has with SpaceX. This is Neutron, is a launcher. They're calling it the Mega Constellation Launcher, that is going to allow them to take part of this, small payload CubeSat type missions into orbit, these multiple service missions, which is going to bring in a lot of money to develop their next thing. And their rocket has a rigid stand on the bottom, so legs that are fixed at the bottom, but that whole thing is the first stage, right? So you have a similar shape to this. You have the engines at the top, and up here there are 4 fairings that open up like a flower. And when that gets to orbit, the second stage is inside that, and it just spits out like like reverse Pac-Man, and then launches. And it solves one of the problems of reusability, which SpaceX is still yet to fully implement, or at least make it cost-effective in the reusability, are the fairing recoveries. They fly off. They're one of the only parts of the rocket left that, other than the deep stage, the second stage, that SpaceX isn't fully recoverable yet. And they're expensive. Fairings are super expensive. And the fairings just open up and close again. Then now you're only recovering one piece of hardware, roughly. One vehicle, instead of multiple pieces, requiring a giant fleet, which has been done, is being done. There's been so many amazing advances in that kind of thing, like sea recovery of rockets and now crew. And if you've seen any of the crew missions, the Inspiration 4 mission with recovering the Crew Dragon coming back from Earth, coming back from their time in orbit, like there's a lot that goes into it. So if you're talking about the ultimate business plan, like if Rocket Lab is able to provide the same kind of launch service, which is basically just tossing something into orbit, we want that to be competitive because that's going to drive the prices down. That's what made SpaceX ignite the industry into thinking about reusability at a full level. Post space shuttle retirement, reusability was just like, I'm triggered, man. I can't listen. I can't listen to you talking about reusability. And so Rocket Lab coming in with this is going to be huge. They've had a rough patch the last few years, but they've had a few launches that have not delivered stuff to orbit, and it's been difficult. But launching rockets is difficult, especially when you're creating your own design for it, and trying to push the bounds. And it's not like SpaceX, who's successful now, has not come across their problems. And that's part of what this episode is kind of around, is SpaceX being honest through Elon Musk about what they need to work on in order for this to work. And what we'll talk about in a second here is just how often he seems to do that. So